companies staff directly. Thank you.
Okay, greetings everyone. Thanks for joining us today on the session where we are going to talk about financial audit automation using Microsoft Copilot Studio and using the code interpreter. Okay, so before jumping into the agenda for today, let's have a quick introduction about ourselves. So, myself, Mahinder, and I have with me my friend Sandeep Misra. We both are Microsoft MVP, and we have been working with Microsoft technologies. It's like more than 10 years now. So we are Microsoft MVP as well as we are C Sharp Corner MVPs, and I have written a couple of books for Microsoft Dynamics CRM. And my friend Sandeep is also MVP on the Microsoft as well as for C Sharp Corner. He's also Community Star member. So today we are going to take. I will be taking care of that PPT part, and once we will cover that flow and the tools that we are going to discuss today, and then I will pass mic to my friend Sandeep, and we will show you the live demo about that topic today. Okay, so here is the agenda that we are going to discuss today. So we'll start with the basic introduction, that what is financial auditing and what is all about, and how we can leverage AI capabilities to automate financial auditing. And then we will discuss about the Microsoft Copilot Studio. We will see that Microsoft Copilot Studio as a tool to building different agents and workflows, and how it can be beneficial for us or to automating any of the requirement, and especially for today we are using on the financial accounting and financial auditing. So we will be seeing that. We will discuss about what are the main building blocks that is present in the Copilot Studio. What is when we use those, how we can connect with the different tools and all those. So we will discuss on that. And next, we'll start with the code interpreter. We will discuss what is about code interpreter, how it can be used in the Copilot Studio, and how it can be used in the financial auditing. So how we can get benefit of that. And then we'll see demo of that what all this Copilot Studio, and utilizing code interpreter for the financial accounting. And in case if you have any question, then we will have the quick question and answer session, then we can discuss that. Okay, so now our agenda, our main topic today is the financial accounting. So the Copilot Studio that we are using, or the AI capabilities that is Microsoft providing, those basically help us to automate our different domain applications, right? We can use in the different domain, and every domain have their own specific use case. So in today's session, we are going to talk about that financial accounting. So in the financial accounting, let's say, as the name suggests, the financial accounting is something where we are keep tracking of the financial details. Okay, for the company, that if you want to keep details of that, what how much finance they are getting, how much orders they are getting, how much money that is coming, how much money that is going out of that company, whether in terms of expenses, whether in terms of income, whether in terms of the salaries, right? So those collectively comes in the financial accounting. As collectively we can call it like a financial accounting. Now what is financial auditing? So every company or every individual, when they are working with the finance, they need to provide their finance details to some authority, right? Like for example, if we are in India, so we have a financial period. After the financial period, we need to declare all these things, right? So how much we have earned in this year, how much, what was our expenses. So all those things that we have basically for the complete year, we have to perform the financial auditing. And in that auditing, we checks for that every information that is provided by the financial department, or the financial accounts or the books that we have maintained, that is that go through by every detail and verify if that information that is provided is correct, right, and meaningful, and that is required. There is no like false statement are made, or there is not unnecessary expenses, or their expenses are in the correct category, they are not in the wrong category. So those type of thing, that process that we do, that's what we call financial accounting. Okay, in the normal scenario, this financial accounting is done manually. So whoever is that whether it's a chartered accountant or accounts, whoever person is there, so they perform all these steps manually, right? So they go through all the books, they go through all the bills, they go through all that entries that is made in the accounting system. So whether whatever accounting system your company is using, so depending on that, they go through all these details manually. So the going through those manually is a lengthy process, right? And of course, if we are doing something manually, there is a chances that there may be errors, right? Maybe something is not correctly matched to the data, or something is missed by mistake, and that can lead to the incorrect information that is submitted to the our the institution where we submit all these details. And that can be a issue in the another one when we will file our return. So if we have something, maybe there are some penalties, we can get some kind of penalties as well, right? So that's why if we go in the route of AI can help us to automate this auditing process, right? We can utilize that AI capabilities, and the type of verification that going through that records, going through that bills, going through that all the books, that can be done using the AI. And that's what we are going to discuss today, and we will see that how we can automate this using the AI capabilities, right? Now we are going to use the AI capability, and now here the tool that we are going to use is basically Microsoft Copilot Studio. So now what is Microsoft Copilot Studio? In a very simple way, if we say that Microsoft Copilot Studio is a low code tool that help us to build that AI agents. Okay, these tools can help us to using that existing controls, we can simply drag and drop those controls, and we can set up the connections, we can do some of the configurations, and after that configuration, that agent will be ready. And in a high level, that agent maybe can take some input from us, maybe some command in terms of the prompt. Maybe we can say that, okay, let's go through this file, let's look into these details and verify if those are correct. And maybe there is some in the background we have the actual data source, and we can ask that AI to verify the data against those sources, right? So those type of capabilities we can build using the Microsoft Copilot Studio. And as you see here in the right hand side, I have a screenshot here. So as soon as you will land over the Microsoft Copilot Studio, you will get this screen. So here we can see that the first thing is that agent, that you can build agent, and you can see here we have this this is kind of in a way that we can utilize different type of control so that they can connect to each other, they can pass the data from back and forth and utilize the data for this agent. And then now there is a other new thing that is here, that is workflow, that we can also create automated workflows in the Copilot Studio. But today we are going to use that agent one. So our topic today, we are discussing about the agent, how we are going to build that agent. That's the agenda for today. So this Microsoft Copilot Studio, as I said, this is a low code tool, and this studio that we have in the Copilot Studio, where we can use that controls, we can connect to the different data sources, and everything is in the UI, right? You don't need to write the code, as it's a low code. Yes, of course you need to write some expression there if required. So you can write some of that expressions, and you can build a different type of connections there. And after that, it basically you can write, and all these things, all the command, all the prompt that you are designing, that you can write in a simple natural language, just like we are speaking to someone. You can use the same language and to give the command to the agent, and then agent can be basically configured to act upon all those natural language prompts that we are providing. right? So those type of things that's we have available on the Microsoft Copilot Studio. And of course, as I said, we can interact with the different tools, that's basically Microsoft or non-Microsoft tools. So for example, if something that's part of the Microsoft 365 or Microsoft Dynamics or Microsoft Power Platform, so we can connect with that Dataverse or ERP application, or there is any kind of non-Microsoft application. Those application we can easily connect here. So we have different type of connectors that is available, so you don't need to write anything. No code is required that if I want to connect something, so there is existing connector that is there. You can just configure those connector and you will get the data. And if the connector is not there, you can also go ahead and you can set up your own custom connector to connect to your specific application, right? So that's the tool that we are going to use here for our demo today. Now let's discuss about that. What are the main building blocks? What are the main component that we utilize when we build agent in the Copilot Studio? So first thing is the instruction, right? So when we are building agent, of course we are not writing any code, but we need to provide some kind of instruction, right? That on the instruction that we will be providing, that will become base for the agent, and based on those instruction only that agent will work, right? So whether let's say in a simple scenario that we are saying that when you will get this prompt, go to this place, get that file, work on that file, get the data and provide the data, right? So those are basically kind of the instruction that we are giving, and based on these instruction our agent will work. So the instruction is basically that how our agent is going to behave. So that's what we have. First thing is the instruction. Now, second thing that we have is the knowledge base, right? So the information that we are saying that it can connect to the different data sources, that data sources is basically work like a knowledge base for our agent. And let's say, for example, we want to see that, okay, get me complete, financial details for the financial year, or maybe I want to see all the orders generated for a specific person, right? So maybe those information is part of the CRM, or maybe those part of the ERP system, and then that information will be coming from those knowledge bases, and agent will utilize them. So that's what we use here, knowledge, to connect to our different data sources so that it can answer our questions. Next thing that we have here is topic. The topic is again that we can, while building that agent, we can have different type of topics. So these topics are basically kind of, we can say that we have different type of prompt, right? So that kind of category that here on the topic wise, so we can create that there is a one topic and you need to use that. Based on that we can decide that hierarchy how it will go on that. So this is basically kind of a structured information or the structured conversation between user and the agent that is happening. So maybe we'll say that if something will come like this, on the respond of that you need to provide this information, so you need to respond like this. Okay, then next thing is the tool. So these are the tools, basically a section where we can connect to the different applications. For example, we want to utilize Power Automate, we want to create prompts, or we want to connect to Outlook, or we want to connect to SharePoint. So different type of tools are available, and those tools can help us agent to perform work all those instruction that is configured here while creating that agent, right? So here then we have the generative AI. So we have the topics. Okay, so topics are basically when we provide that configure specific thing, then when this thing you need to respond like that. But sometime if something is coming beyond these topics, then generative AI comes into the picture, and then based off the generative AI it can decide from the data that how I should respond to this question. Okay, so that's basically help us to automatically get it a response, even though we don't have those responses recording already recorded there, or we have not configured there. So that's what we have the generative AI. Okay, now next thing is channels. So let's say our agent is ready, Now, how we are going to utilize that agent, where this agent will be placed, how the user will be interacting with that, that's basically the channel. Channels are, it can be a team, right? It can be a website, it can be a mobile app, where I can say that my agent will be hosted, and from there user can interact with my agent. Okay, so channels basically help us to make our agent available to the user. So that's basically the responsibility of channels. And then we have that analytics. Okay, so let's say we have created our agent, and now user are using it. So let's say we have for some time, maybe let's say a couple of hours, one day, week, or monthly, right? And we want to see that how the performance is going on. Okay, how this our agent is basically getting the data, how it's providing that data, so what are the timing that is happening here. So we want to monitor that performance. That's basically comes into this analytics. So analytic help us to understand that how our agent is performing. Okay, now the next and last thing is that settings. So under the settings is basically that we configure different type of security or behaviors, the other settings that basically help us our agent to perform. That's basically comes into this part, setting. Okay, so these are the building blocks that we have for the Copilot Studio. Now, so we have now the basic idea of that Copilot Studio, what are the building blocks, how we can use that. Now, what is code interpreter? So when we are working with the agent and we are providing some prompt, and it can answer us, right? So it can answer in terms of the text information, right? It's providing some textual data to us. But how about if we want to extract that information, and we want that our agent should, get some output in terms of charts, in terms of that visualized report, right? So or something, some calculation need to be done there. So then here this code interpreter comes into the picture. This basically advanced tool that help us to do some kind of calculation, to perform some kind of charting based on the data, to create that reporting. So those kind of thing basically comes into the code interpreter. So here basically that helps behind the scene the Python code is executed. So if we will enable this feature, so there are some settings that we will show you in the demo. And here that you can see that, let's say in the right hand side we have enable the code interpreter. Here we have enabled that, but there are some other places as well where we need to enable it. So we will see that in the demo. So once that code interpreter's capabilities added into our agent, then it basically help us to be more productive in terms of that financial data and output, and basically it can give us the highlights of the data. Okay, instead of just the textual information, it can provide us a better picture of the data, and based on the data we can take some better decision, and we can say that if something is not correct or something is missing, we can correct that before submitting to the authority, right? So that's here that code interpreter, how we can use that in the financial accounting. And you can see here, like for example, this is an example of a financial books that we are maintaining, where we have, let's say, different order information is there, different PO information is there. And again, if let's say we want to go through these records manually, maybe these are small number of record, but depending on that, how much transaction happening in the complete whole year, there may be thousands of records that we need to go through, right? And going through them manually can be a very lengthy process, and again it can we can have different type of issues, errors there. So that's why we can use the code interpreter here, which basically help us to analyze the data that we will submit, right? Or the data can be in terms of the file, data can be in terms of stored already in the data bases. So we can take the data from there, or we can take the data from the file, and depending on that we can instruct that, okay, for example, I want to say that, okay, find if there is any duplicate entry. Okay, find if there is some PO number is missing, or if some of that information that is missing, or something, some calculation is wrong, right? So those type of thing we can use a code interpreter to perform. So we can provide that input, and then all that, obviously if we are going to automate this, it is going to reduce that manual effort, and we will have this, the analytic that it will provide us, that will have take less time compared to that we are manually going through all the data and we are manually creating those analytics. So that's basically here code interpreter can help us to improve the accuracy and the consistency in the auditing information, that the auditing process that we are doing in the financial accounting. Okay, so that's what how we are going to show is today, that how we can use the data and perform this financial auditing using the code interpreter. So let's see the demo. So now I'm going to pass mic to my friend Sandeep, and he will be taking care of the demo, and we'll see that how we can do the financial auditing using the Copilot Studio and the code interpreter.
Yeah, thank you, Mahendra. Let me share my screen. So hope it is visible.
Okay, we are still, yeah, it's loading. Okay, perfect. We
Yeah,
can see it.
yeah. So thank you, and I just want to echo what Mahendra said. That code interpreter enables Copilot Studio to generate code on demand, execute, and give us a reliable output instead of guessing that what output we are going to get. Many times in businesses, like when we are in a situation where code is required, right? In that case, we can enable code interpreter in Copilot Studio, and in that case, agent will automatically analyze the situation, generates code, execute the code, and gives us output. For example, before I start creating agent and show you that how it will work, uh, for the benefit of all those who are attending for the first time this kind of session, I just want to give overview of Copilot Studio. uh, so if you are a new if you're new to Copilot Studio, you will just go to Google and you can just search for Copilot Studio, and either you can go from here. Either you can just type copilotstudio.microsoft.com, and it will take you on the home page of Copilot Studio. You can see few tabs here. First is home. So on home you can see Microsoft already created in a way. Even though you are a citizen developer, you can create agent and workflow both from this screen. Then we have agents. That is where you can see all those agents you created in past, are some templates are available. That is what you can use to create your own agent. Then we have some workflows are sometimes you don't need agent, you just want activity based like workflow automation. So in that case you can create agent flow from here. And then we have tools are basically any custom task you want to perform, action you want to perform, that is what you can perform using tools. So let me go here and create our first agent. So I will just name it demo Microsoft Reactor Audit. And here you can see agent settings. So for example, language you can select. If you are not using English, in that case you can select a different language from this drop down. Solutions, like sometimes we are creating agent, we want to export from one environment to another environment, from one tenant to another tenant. So that's why it's important to add within a solution so you can export it easily. And then we have schema name. These are by default, you don't need to do anything. If you are not technical, you just click on create and you will be able to create your first agent. So now this agent is based on foundational model. Like as I told you that many times in business or when you are doing some work, it is needed that you should do that work using some complex coding. And the most common scenario I can show you here, for example, if I'm asking here, calculate 6.9 minus 6.11, and then you can see this is totally based on the foundational model, and that's why the output we are going to get, you can't trust it, right? Because even though you are not good in math, you will able to evaluate that this output is not correct. So in this kind of scenario, you can use code, you can use Python code, Python libraries to get correct output from LLM. So that's why it's important. If I write here that use code to calculate 6.9 to 6.11, let's see that what is happening. So now it's correct because we used code in this scenario. So that's why, like, it is not always that you are using LLM and whatever questions you are asking, you are going to get the correct results. In some cases, we need code, and in those scenario, you can use code interpreter along with the LLM to get correct output. So now the question is how you can turn it on. The very first place, that is where you need to turn on code interpreter. That is admin.powerplatform.com. So you will go to adminpowerplatform.microsoft.com, and then you will click on Copilot. Here you can see Copilot Studio, like settings, and in settings you can see a section Copilot Studio, and there you can see code generation and execution in Copilot Studio. That is what you can select, and then you can see all those environments you have within your tenant. You can select one of those environment where you want to enable this. So you will just click on edit, and then you can turn it on. It is already turned on for my environment. So that's the first place, that is where you can turn it on. Once you will on, then like code generation, like once agent will generate the code, it will be hosted in a temporary environment for that particular session, and when session is disabled, that those file will be deleted. So that's why once you will enable that, feature will be available in your environment, so agent can use those files, those hosted environment, to generate and execute the file. After that, once you will enable this, you will go back to Copilot Studio. The second place, that is where you can turn it on, that is settings. So you will go here in settings, and in file processing capabilities, you can see we have two options here. One is upload files, and another is code interpreter. So from here you can turn it on. Sometimes when you are dealing with Copilot agent, you might have experienced that there is no way to upload files. So in that case, you need to turn it on. In my case, it is already on. If you are not getting that capability, you will just come to the settings and turn it on. And then to enable code interpreter capability, you will turn this setting on. So let me show some demo, and after that we'll turn it on. So I will just go back to the agent, and the file I'm going to use, that is, we have some sample invoices where we don't have PO. Might be sometimes invoice amount is more than the vendor average amount. So those kind of invoices we just need to analyze and add some flags, like this is missing PO or weekend, like a weekend transaction. So based on that, the audit person will able to review those transactions. So that's the whole purpose. I created this file. You can see we have invoice ID, vendor, invoice date, due date, PO number, cost center, submitted by, and some flags we have. Based on that, the person who is going to audit will take all those records and do analysis. So that will make his or her work easy. So this file I'm going to use. So what I will do is I will just upload this file and give a prompt. And now I'm asking AI to read this file. So I'm just giving a prompt, read the invoice data, detect duplicate invoices, identify missing PO number, identify invoices submitted on weekends, flag unusual high invoice amount, assign a risk score, update the spreadsheet, and audit findings, return the updated Excel sheet. This line is quite important, and the model I'm using, that is Claude Sonnet. So let's see that it's working or not. So I'm just submitting, and it will take little bit time, and then we can see that what output we are getting. Why I'm showing this, because sometimes models are also important when you are doing this kind of analysis, like code interpreter you are using. You need to be little careful that which model you are using. So right now I'm using Claude, and uh, every model is not compatible, so that's why I'm just trying with Claude. Let's see that if we are getting output or not, and then we'll use some other models as well. So it will take little bit time, we have to wait, might be a few seconds. Till that, if you are new, as I told you that here you can see we have detail. If anything want to update in this section, you can just click on edit, you will able to update description. And then the instructions we have, right now I have everything blank to use the foundational model and see that what output we are getting when we are uploading these kind of invoices. And then we will compare with the once we turn code interpreter on. So it will take little bit more time. Let's wait. I'm searching in the knowledge base. So mostly in this case, like we are using a Claude, but I found that these models are not giving like whenever it's giving result, it's visually quite good, but sometimes it's throwing error. But if we are using this model like chat gpt 4.1, that is for quick analysis, more like every time we are getting a result, but the only thing is it is not visually that much like highlighted. You will just find a flag 0 or 1 kind of. But when we are using Claude, in that case, like we are getting files, and that is quite you can say uh, like everything highlighted. So let me download this one, and let's see that this is what we are getting. So you can see, like as I told to update those flags, nothing is updated, because mostly when we are dealing with the models, they are able to give us summarization, but they are not able to edit the same file. And that's why even though we got the file, but nothing is there. Like all those flags you can see, uh, these columns are not updated. So that is what I wanted to show you. Let me change the model. I will change the model, and we'll go to setting, we'll turn it on. So I will turn it on, we'll save it. Saved, and I will just leave this page. I will publish this model. So now same file will upload, and we given code interpreter capability to this agent. So let's see that the file we are giving and asking to update the same file and give back to us what output we are getting. So just wait for publishing this agent. Sometimes it's taking time, sometimes it is faster. So just wait for few more seconds and then I will upload that file. So now our agent is ready with the model 4.1. So I will again select the same file, use the prompt, and now this time I am asking to use code and update the same file. So you can see like return the updated Excel file and here assign the risk score, use code to create and update the spreadsheet with audit findings. Because it is like if you are doing manually, you will go check every PO, then you will update all those columns. That is what we are asking AI to do that. So I will enter, and now I'm using 4.1, so it will be little quick than the Claude model. So it's generating plan. So mostly like when you are doing the work, you need to find the kind of model you want to use. Sometimes like GPT Auto you can use, so it will switch between the chat and reasoning as well. Uh, if you think that for your work, Claude models are good, so in that case you can use those model as well. Now our output is ready. What I will do is I will just click on download and let's see that the updated file we are getting back. So I will just open this file and you can see, so we are getting all those flags like zero. So what this agent did this time, after analyzing this Excel sheet, it's created created new Excel sheet with the same data and then updated all those columns what we requested using our prompt, and then we got the updated output. So when we turn it on, those kind of capability we are getting using code interpreter, any complex logic where we need code, we want to create the file, we want to create Word document, PPT, or Excel sheet, all those kind of things we can do. Along with that, even though we want to update Dataverse, we want to create some connections, like some you want to update some database, all those kind of things we can do using code interpreter, because AI will generate code on the spot, run and runs it and give you output back to the user. So that's the one way, like how you can use code interpreter in agent. The other way to use code interpreter, uh, that is prompt. So we have two ways that is how we can use code interpreter. One is agent. When you turn it on for the agent, it gives agent the capability. So everything you ask, like every prompt you are asking and you have turned it on, might be agent will utilize code generation capability for every instruction, and sometimes it is not needed. So it is good that you have code interpreter on for the agent, but it is not for every conversation, like everything you are asking, every question you are asking, and if it is generating code, that is not good. So you don't have more control on the output if you are using code interpreter for every um, for every question. So that's why the other way we have, that is prompt level, where you will give ability to in the prompt to use code interpreter, and that is what you can use in your agent. So it will not use code interpreter for every instruction. Like whenever you're asking something and in your instruction you have that for these special conditions you should use code interpreter, so that kind of control you will able to create if you are using prompt, using at the prompt level. So what I will do is, for to create, like to enable code interpreter at prompt level, we'll go to tools, And here we'll create a new prompt. So I'll click on new tool. We'll select prompt, and I already created a prompt. That is what we can use. So I created it. You are given an Excel file document input with column, all those columns available in that Excel sheet, and then we given some instruction like output file uh, will be updated with this- these values, and then we are giving like update the column this, update this column, all those column we are updating. To give the input file, what we have to do is we'll just select this input document. We'll click on add content. Here we'll select image or document. So we can give the variable name, and we can also select the file. Sometimes you are not able to get the Excel sheet, so in that case you need to select all Excel files. Then you will open, and once you upload this, you can taste. So let me upload one more time. So let me first save it. After saving, we'll upload it. So let's go back to the tools again. This is what I created. So we'll select all files, then I will select the Excel sheet, image document, accept. So I will select Excel sheet. So one more thing we can do, like output file, we here we need to give the document, and also we can let me save this model. Sometimes we need to browse the output file. I will select that Excel sheet. And saves, like Microsoft updated this setting. Before it was just you can select the Excel sheet, but now I can see it is just accepting uh, Word document. But I will save it, and I'll go here again in input, upload that Excel sheet. Let me cancel. So let me open this one, the file I already created, the tool I created before. Here the same input we have, uploaded documents. I will just upload this document here and run using test. And here in output you can see we have document and image. So now we'll able to analyze that Excel sheet, and based on the instruction given it will able to generate output. So we'll just wait for a few more seconds. No file generated. Let me. So we'll wait for a few more seconds, and then so now you can see the file is generated. We can download from here, and the same output we can see. Like if I will go here and open this, so this is even like more better. You can see like all those flags you can see here false, then review status okay, all these transactions, that is what we need to review and validate. So you can see like we can generate this file like financial audit using this prompt. We'll just save it. And some more things I want to tell, like one more thing I want to tell about the prompt code interpreter. That is, when you are creating a prompt interpreter, you also need to enable from settings. So you can see three dots here. Yeah, so you can see three dots we have here. Then you can click on settings, and in settings you can see like from here you need to enable code interpreter, and then only you will able to use code interpreter at prompt level. So we can just close it. And also if you want to see the code behind this prompt, you can just click on code from text, and you will able to see all those. This is Python code, quite easy to read. So you can see that what the code this prompt is doing to analyze this Excel file. So it's taking the file first, then creating all those steps, taking all those columns, and based on the if and else condition, it's updating the columns requested in prompt. So once you create a prompt, this is quite handy. You will go back to the agent, and here in tools, like you can see we have tool section here. So you will go back to the tool, you will click on add, you will select prompt, and the prompt you created, the one I created, that is what custom, like I created yesterday, that is what you can select, add and configure. So you will able to add in your agent as a tool. So one more thing I just want to demonstrate, that everything like you can see that is configured, like prompt tool. If I just want to change this, then we can save. So now it is saved, and I don't want to use code interpreter at agent level, but I just want to use as a prompt level. So I will go into the settings, I will just disable it, save, and then we'll go back again here, we'll publish it. So now even though we will upload the file, it will able to use the prompt tool to analyze that file and use code interpreter at prompt level. So let's see that how it's working. So let it publish. And to do that, what we'll do is that we'll also update some instructions. So far, we don't have anything in isn't a description or instruction. So we'll update some of those. So agent will able to call prompt tool when we are uploading file. It is taking little longer. So I will just go to overview and I will edit. I will just update some of the information that is saved. And then in instruction, I will write that just click it, use tool. Let's see that we are getting tools or not. So we are using custom prompt. The tool name we have custom prompt. So that is what I'm using here. We'll save it and let's try. So now code interpreter at agent level is disabled. So I will click on new chat. Again, I will upload the file and we'll use. So let's see that what is happening. So let's go back to the instruction. So as font, I just want to trigger prompt whenever we are uploading file. So you can adjust your instructions based on the kind of output you are looking for. I just saved it. Now I will publish. So let me do that and so let's see that what is happening. So it's not taking this Excel sheet. I can just save as the CSV. It is so I just converted in CSV to check that if we can upload direct CSV file here. So I'm uploading and these invoices might be some technical issues, but even though before I was able to create this demo, so once we upload from here, it will able to call the prompt. That is what you can see, the prompt will be created, and then it will analyze the file and give us output, uh, give share output back to us. So that is what you can do using code interpreter in agents, and also using prompts. So now I will hand over. I will just hand over to Mahendra for closing.
Thank you, Sandeep, for demonstrating that. And here, let me share this here. So yeah, so this if you guys have any question, just feel free to let us know your questions. And for the further learning, you can go through these knowledge bases where we have that Microsoft Learn. We have different learning paths that is available here for the Microsoft Copilot Studio, for using that Copilot Studio Agent Academy, and how we can leverage code interpreter, and then we can how we can utilize the code interpreter to analyze that structured data. So these are the different learning path that is available on that Microsoft Learn. So you can go through from there. So if you have any questions, we can go from there. And you can connect to us. This is our you know code for the LinkedIn. So if you want to connect with us, you can connect with us. And if you have any question, you can also share on the LinkedIn. So to provide your feedback or your question related to this. Yeah. So let's wait for. We have 2-3 minutes, so we can wait here, and then we can go through it. So yeah. So. This is as you saw in the demo, that we can utilize code interpreter in both the prompt and the agent level. And of course, when we are using in the agent level, it can create a little bit, compared to the performance wise. So we can see the performance issue when we are using for that agent, because in the agent, for everything, for the every communication that we are doing, it will start generating code for that, right? And instead of when we are using specific prompt, then we know that this code interpreter will be only used when we will have that specific prompt is used. So that will have a much better performance in terms of this responses that we are getting from there, right? Sandeep, do you have any feedback on that?
Yes, like as I told you that when we are using code interpreter, it's also depends on LLM, because I was using in my like when I was preparing this demo, I was using Claude Sonnet, and most of the time it was throwing error that due to the technical issue we can't analyze that file. But when we started using Model 4.0, like OpenAI model, it was working quite good. So it's also important that which model we are using when along with the code interpreter. And the only difference I saw that when we were using OpenAI, it is the output you can see that is not that much visually you can say uh, good. But if we are using Claude model and it's running successful, all those lines are highlighted with the colors, and the output is quite true and false kind of things.
So
So
we will
I
get
think
some
those yeah,
synopsis.
output we are getting, but the only thing is like sometimes it was working, sometimes it was not working. So that kind of challenge we might can face, might be in future Microsoft will improve these things using Claude as well.
Okay, yeah, so in that terms, like we get some more formatted output compared to the
Yeah,
other
correct.
frameworks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that can help us. Okay, I think we don't have any questions, so we can end this session. Thank you very much for joining us. Stay tuned for our next topic, and we'll be back with the new topic soon. And you can go through that Microsoft Reactor and look for this year, and then you can register yourself for our next event. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.